Okay, so today is supposedly September the 17th, which is a Monday. I'm checking my computer and I'm right. Okay. Videos this week might be a little longer. I got some kids out, so I am just trying to make sure everybody knows what to do. We have started our day with doing the math workshop. And in case, you're not here or whatever, we can kind of check behind it. So, starting out, we're going to round 4 and 54 hundredths to the nearest whole number. What should that answer be, guys? 5. You got it, because the nearest whole number would be that number. Okay. This is fourth period. Okay. Round this crazy number to the nearest tenth. TH on the end there. 5. We got to look at the 8. The 8 tells the 5 to do what? Go up to a 6. Yes. You might have that, or you might have that. Either way, it should look like that. Everybody good? And then the last one to the nearest hundredth. Now, that 8 is in the hundredths. The 7 tells the 8 what to do. So our new number should be 299, because that should change up one, right? Yeah. And then we need 2 zeros at least. But you could add a decimal, and you could add 2 more zeros if you want. Okay. Gotta know our place value chart. That's just part of it. In fact, what we're doing in regular class today is place value. Okay, so put this behind math workshop. And since it is Monday, if you are here today, you should have it tomorrow. Click it behind math workshop. Thank you. Clicky, click, click. Okay, that way tomorrow when we do the next section, you can just open it up. Okay. Then to kind of be a little crazy, I went ahead and already passed out the notes sheet. Okay. Now, I'll do my best to try to get this all up here. Give me just a second. Let me see. Today's notes, the 17th. And since it's the beginning of a unit, we're going to start with the vocabulary. I will say there are only 3 words that are new this week. But while you're kind of filling these in and copying them, okay, you should be filling these in and copying them. You should be filling these in and copying them. We'll give you a hint. There on this Friday's 100-point test, there are these 3 words, and there are a few more hint that we're going to use as review. I have listed them over there if you're a person who wants to study. The extra words are from old vocab. You should kind of already know them. They are sum, which is the answer to an addition question. Product, which is the answer to multiplication. Difference, which is the answer to subtraction. And quotient, which is the answer to division. So I'm just giving you that hint. So we have these 3 words, and sum, product, difference, and quotient. Just trying to review. So numerator. We all know it is the number on top of a fraction. Nice, short, and sweet. Well, this lovely definition says the number above the line in a fraction that indicates how many parts of the whole amount is called. think of it as like if we say 1/2 and 1's on the top, we're using 1 out of 2, or like if you're eating half a pizza, then you're eating 1 out of 2. Numerator on top. Denominator's on the bottom. It is the number below the line in a fraction and is used as the divisor. That means it's on the outside of the house. That it seems like the denominator would be on top in alphabetical order, but it's the opposite. Which way? Do y'all have any tricks to remember numerator on top? Remember any little phrases or whatever weird stuff you said?
Numerator on top, forget me not.
Forget me not. Numerator on top, forget me not. I like that because it's NOT kind of in numerator. I like that. Every year y'all tell me different ones. Nice. What else?
One of them was like numerator starts with N as in north and denominator starts as D as in down.
Down. I like it. Think about that. That's a good one. Numerator is north and it's on top. Denominator is down and it's on the bottom. Good. Listen, whatever works. Mine all had to do with ABC order for some reason. I don't know. And the last one is simplifying. And we kind of already started this a little bit last week. It's reducing a fraction to its lowest terms by canceling to the lowest common factor for both the numerator and the denominator. Basically, you're trying to find the biggest number that will go into the top and the bottom evenly. And we had a big discussion last week that like 2/4 is 1/2. But if you eat 2/4 of a pizza and you eat 1/2 of a pizza, it's just cut differently. One is you're eating 2 slices, but it's still half. One is 1 slice, and it's really big. Anyway, we're going to just keep practicing simplifying, guys. It's just everywhere. Everywhere. Now, okay, you're finishing it. We are going to talk changing these, converting decimals to fractions. And if you think about the way they look, decimals need a dot, as I'll call it, okay, or a point. Fractions need a line, okay, as a fraction bar. As we do this, you just want to always make sure, you're giving me what we're asking for. I have some kids who will change it from like a fraction to a decimal and back to a fraction. Like, don't do that, don't do that. Okay, so I'm trying not to give you the answers, but I'm trying to, I guess I didn't give me. Guys, you should be kind of finishing up the definition. Here we go. I'm going to slide it up just a little bit. It's okay. There we go. And I can put them back up to the end of class if I need to, but some of us waited until the last minute. Okay, so converting, here we go, decimals to fractions. Now, a couple different things that we need to kind of look at, talk about. There are directions right here that could help you. Listen, when you get going tonight on homework, stop and ask yourself, like, take these notes out and look at them. They might help get your brain straight, okay? So, we're going to start out by converting decimals. Now, look at those things. That one's a decimal. This one happens to be a mixed, not a mixed number, but it's got a whole number and a decimal, right? So, I want you to see how they can be written. We're going to change these things to fractions. Now,
I want you to think about something before we ever work with these. You will already know some of these. Like 1/2. How much money is half a dollar? 50 cents. So we write it as 0.50, right? That decimal, 0.50, is the same as saying 1/2. All it is that many years ago, someone decided that we needed decimals and we needed fractions. Unfortunately. I think they just want to confuse us. But we got to know both for whatever we're doing. I think of fractions as cooking, but it's also in measurement, like with tools, rulers, things like that. Decimals, I say big time for money. Like, that's just part of it. But I know decimals are all over banking. They're all over stock market. They're all over, I was thinking computers. If you're a computer person. So we got to kind of know both, okay? Some of them we know. Some of them we got to figure out. These are the style that we got to figure out. Here we go. Starts out, we're going to look at the number behind the decimal. What is behind it? Meaning that 9 and that 8. We're going to put that on top. So watch, 98 is going to go on top as a fraction. Then you're going to look at the last place value. The last place is an 8 right there. It's going to go on the bottom, but what column is it in? Hundredths. That's what column it's in, and it's going on the bottom. Now it looks like a fraction, doesn't it? That wasn't too bad. We do have to simplify it, and that's the part that is a little not always so much fun. Here we go. Okay, we got to look. What goes into 98 and 100 evenly? What factor? What is it?
2.
Okay, 2. So if 2 is the number we're going with, this is kind of like what's going on in my brain right now. I'm going to make it 98 divided by 2 would be 49. 100 divided by 2 is 50. Now, before you circle that as an answer, I want you to think, do you think anything else can go into 49 and 50? I want you to think about it. What's the one factor that goes into 49? 7. Do you think 7 goes into 50? No. And I've tried some other stuff, but we're good to go. So listen. Before you circle this as your fraction, go back up and just make sure there's not a whole number. You'll see why in a few minutes. We'll have to add it in there. But that is the same as that. Like that fraction goes with that decimal. It's kind of weird. You wouldn't think that. Or at least I would. Okay? So let's try number 2 here. 15 and 715 thousandths. I had to sit there and think. That 5 is in the thousandths. So, listen. Only do what's behind it at first. 715 over, put it over what the second thing says, the column that the 5 is in, which is 1,000. Kind of ignoring the whole number. We're going to bring it back in a few minutes. Now, what do you think goes into 715 and 1,000? I'll give you a hint. I heard it. 5. Listen, if it ends in a 5 and a 0, we know it's simplifiable by 5. Okay. Now, listen, if you can't do this part in your head, you may have to do what I call, meaning drag out some scratch paper. I'm just going to kind of scoot this over and show you. Okay. So, 715 divided by 5. Okay, I'm going to do 5 and a 7. 5 and a 21. 5 and a 15. So, I just simplified it. It is now 143. Listen, I don't know this. Like, I have to work it out just like you guys. Now I'm going to do 1,000 divided by 5. 5 into 10. Bring down zeros. Now we can't stop because it is 200, not 20 or 2. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so my bottom number is 200. Still really big numbers. Like, that is really big. Looking at it, I want you, before you circle any answers, just kind of mess with the numbers a little bit. Like, I know 200 is divisible by 5, by 10, probably 25, 100. Do you think any of that will go into that? No. And I'll be honest, earlier I sat here and tried to figure it out. I was like, does 7 go into it? Does 8 go into it? Does 9? And I'm like, processed. I'll be honest, that is the ending fraction. But listen, we can't forget something. I know. I wanted everybody's attention. Okay. Listen, that only stands for that. We've got to drag back in the whole number. So our final answer is 15 and 143 200ths. That is the final answer. You can't forget the 15, and it's kind of like you got to bring it back into all that work. Unfortunately, it will be wrong if we forget the 15. Okay? So this gives you two different styles. One without the whole number, one with. Okay? The second part of these notes is going backwards, as I call it. We're now going to do fraction to decimal. Okay. This one's not as bad, but it does have division. Here we go. Okay. Notice, divide. We're going to divide the numerator by the denominator. Notice, numerator goes inside the house. So my numerator's 8. We're going to divide it out. 8 divided by the denominator goes outside. You all have been asking me for quite some time, last couple of weeks, Miss Donahue, but the big number always goes in the house. And I can't ever it's like makes me want to stop, because before now, yes, most of the time, but it's done. Like, from now on, it's whichever number's in the house. Listen, is that number like officially smaller? Yeah, I mean, like, it's smaller than that. So, like, your brain has to kind of throw out that old stuff of, oh, my big number always goes in the house. And you're going to have to think of it, we're going to make it a bigger number, by adding a decimal. And even though our brain knows that it's still an 8, it is an 80 that we're working with. But you're going to have to add a decimal to make a decimal answer. Thank goodness we're changing fractions to decimals. That's why we got to have a decimal. Okay, now 18 into 80. It won't go into 8. 80. It's about 20. Like 18 is about 20. 20, 40, 60, 80. About 4, you think? Okay. 4 times 8, 32. 72, yes, thank you. I get an 8 again. So if I add another 0, we're seeing it already. It is repeating. Do some borrowing. Okay, what number's repeating? 4s, and just the 4. Listen, we'll see one in a minute that you'll see different. So listen, did this thing have a whole number? No. So we are actually done with this one. Like, this answer is 0.4 or 0.44 repeating. 0.4 or 0.44 repeating. The same thing. You've got to put the line. It's 3 points off the test if you didn't last Friday. You got to. Okay. Here we go. Let's look at number 2. On number 2 and 3, you see whole numbers, but we get to ignore them in the beginning. Yay! Okay. we're going to do 16 divided by 20. 16 in the house divided by 20 outside the house. 20 won't go into 16, so I'm going to add a decimal and a 0. Make sure you bring up that decimal to the top, or you might forget it when you make your final answer. How many 20s do you think go into 160? So skip count by 20s. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. 20, 40, 60. 8. Yes, 8. So, and 8 times 2 is 16. Nice, short, and sweet. But listen, we got to put the whole number with the decimal. That 5 has got to be in the front with the 0.8 in the back. I'm just bringing it over. It's kind of like you're just transferring it to your answer over there. Like if this one, if you want to go ahead and put it in the front, do it. It doesn't matter. As long as we don't forget it in the end. And then the last one, we got 4 divided by 45. 4 divided by 45. This is the odd one. I need you to really look at this thing. If we add that, can 45 go into 40? No. What do we have to put in the quotient? A 0. Don't forget it. Changes everything. Okay. Yes, we're working with 45 into 400. I know 45 is about 50, right? How many 50s are in 100? 2. So how many are in 400? $4. How many 50s are in $4? 8. Thank you. Yes. 8. So let's try 8. 8 times 5 is 40. And we get 36. Okay, doing some borrowing. I get 40 again. So if I add a 0, I get 400 again. 8 again. What repeats though?
8.
The 8. Listen, I need you to be super careful. The 0 does not repeat. So that repeater bar can only go over the 8s. Or 1/8. But either way, it doesn't go over the 0. Listen, your answer should be 7, keep that 7, 0.08 or 0.88 repeating. But that repeater bar can only go over the 8. Okay? Listen, before you do homework, you'll look at these to go, oh yeah, that's what we did. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to put this back down to the definitions for just a second. But I'm going to pass out the homework and do hopefully 6 out of the 12 with you. That's what I got done in the rest of my classes. 6 out of 12, leaving you with how many? 6. Okay, so listen, if you didn't get the definitions, hurry, because they were up there quite some time earlier. And we're going to do the first 3, and I'm going to try to do 7, 8 times. So we can get it done. There we go. No, we're going to do it for homework. Oh. You're not listening. I'm going to do some of them with you. He just asked, can we mark out the rest? I said, no, we're going to do those for homework. I'm just trying to do some of them. Because I know that, they're all different. We got to do a bunch of these problems to kind of go, oh, yeah, that's what we do. Okay, if I skip someone, let me know. Seems like I've skipped someone in every class. Nothing would surprise me. Okay, so here we go. Now, this is tonight's homework. It is and I'm just trying to show my friends that are at home. It is this worksheet. This is Monday's. We're doing this on the 17th. Okay, it is a Monday. And this is my 4th period in case it matters for some reason. This is the worksheet. So we're just practicing tonight decimals to fractions, lowest terms, fractions to decimals. And it looks like that. Here we go. Let's look at number 1. We need to remember, if I can get it straight, there we go, that we're going to take 0.35 and we're going to make it a fraction or a mixed number. Go back and look at these notes, guys. To change a decimal to a fraction, what did we do? Well, look, we put it over what? The place value, right? So 0.35 would be 35 over what? 100, yes. Because it's in the hundredths column. Yes. What?
5.
Okay. Divide by 5? Yes. Okay, so now we need to simplify. Yes. Here we go. Divide the top and the bottom by 5. We get a 7 on top and 20 on bottom. Now, you always want to ask yourself, is that as far as it'll go? Yes. Is there a whole number? No. So just leave it like that. So there's the first one. Easy breezy. Okay, look at number 2. 9 goes over what? 10. Does that simplify? 9 and 10 are just, it's already there. So all we need to do, luckily on this one, is bring down the 12. That is it. We are done. That one's easy breezy. We're good? Okay, on the number 3 here, this is one of the more interesting ones. I'm going to kind of slide it over here because it's going to take a little work. 225 needs to go over the number 1,000. It needs 3 zeros. Now, what goes into those two numbers?
5.
Higher. Look at them and kind of quit playing. 10 won't because that doesn't end in a 0. 5 does, but there's something bigger. I want you to look at these numbers. No, 50 won't work because of that. Not 15. Think about this as $2.25. What kind of money would you probably make $2.25 out of? 25 cents, right? Quarters. Listen, quarters. Sometimes, like, if 5 works, why does 5 work? Like, all of you jumped on 5, which was awesome. Why did you know 5?
Because 225 is in 5 and 0.
Yes. Anything that ends in 5 and 0 is divisible by 5. That would have been fine. It just would have taken us twice. I was just trying to challenge you. If you do it by quarters, by 25, top and the bottom, okay, there's 4 quarters and $1. 4 more would make $2, and 25 cents would make 9. So 9 on the top. How many quarters are in 100? Or $1? 4 plus a 0. All it is if you had done a 5, you would have had to do a 5 again. That's all. Okay? So look at this. Do you think that's done? Simplified. So what else would go into 9 and 40? Well, 5 would go into that, but does it go into 9? 9 goes into that, and 3 goes into that. 8, does 8 go into 9? No. Does 3? Listen. 3 and 9 goes into this, but it would have to go into that. So look at it. What you're doing, you cannot go any further with 9/40ths. We do have to bring down the 75 and make it the mixed number. It's going to be 75 and 9/40ths. You've got to make sure that you don't forget the 9/40ths or the 75, I'm sorry, the whole number. I got to count it wrong if you do. Okay, now I'm going to skip down to number 7 and do a few of these with you. Here we go. Now we're doing fractions into decimals. So, think back. 1/5. I need to do which one in the house? 1. 5 goes outside. I add what? Decimal and a 0. How many 5s are in 10? 2. I find it interesting because some of you aren't writing this down. I don't know. So, 0.2 or 2/10 stands for that 1/5. I am done, no remainder, so I need to put it all together now. It should be 6.2. We've got to drag that 6 back over there. Okay, look at number 8. Doing just the fraction. 4 divided by 6. Add a decimal and a 0. How many 6s are in 40? 6, because 6 times 6 is 36. I end up with 40. It is repeating. The 6s are going to go on forever. Now, that's only the end of the fraction. Put it back together. I need, or the decimal, I'm sorry, 94.6 or 0.66. I'll take either one. Repeating. Make sure the repeater bar is on the 6s. Make sure the repeater bar is not on that 9 and 4. Or you're telling me the pattern's like 9466, 9466, 9466. Okay. Number 9. 8 divided by 15. 8 divided by 15. Gotta add a decimal and a 0. Two 15s are 30. So 4 are 60. 6, well, think about it. 2 would be 30. 15 more is 45. 15 more is 60. 15 more is 75. That's one we should kind of be able to skip count by pretty fast. I get 5 left over. Bring down a 0. How many 15s in 50? 3 would be what? 45. What is repeating though?
3.
Just the 3. Just the 3. So, our fraction is, there was no whole number. Notice, that's the problem number. So, it is 0.53. The 3 is repeating. Okay. Your homework is to finish 4 through 6, 10 through 12. That is what every group has had, 1st through 4th period so far. So, shouldn't be too bad. Keep working, and I'm going to see what I can come up with for answers.